Good evening, YouTubers and everybody at AQCenter.net. It is Thursday night, 11 o'clock. The kids are in bed. The wife is asleep. It's time for me to sneak down to my office here so I can get into some AquaPorn. Bringing you my 46-gallon marine build. Really highly addicted to this hobby, and marine is the next step in my progression. So let's start out with the tank. I picked up the tank for free. I slammed on the brakes about a block down the road. I saw it out on the curb, slammed on the brakes, and I immediately put it in my car. I didn't even check it out. I just saw that the tank was filthy with algae. So when I got it home, I noticed that the center brace here was cracked, and that's probably why they were throwing it away. That and the algae was so bad it was probably not worth saving the tank. But there was a crack right here. And so that made this very flimsy, and it actually was here and kind of going along the edge. So it's probably about the size of my thumb right there behind that. So you can learn how to fix anything on YouTube. So I searched it up and I found out that there's this thing called a Euro brace that people do. I had some extra 9mm plexiglass laying around, and I cut it into a T shape and just silicone the crap out of the center brace and pinch that up on there. I also siliconed it underneath the frame in the back about 9 inches in both directions and let that set. And that should be enough to keep it in place and keep it from and make it work again, keep it from like the whole front of the tank falling off. But to further fortify that, went to Home Depot. You can see here I picked up this piece of aluminum L bracket, and I cut that 36 inches, the length of the tank, and then I super glued that along the top of the frame, and I also, siliconed it along the top of the tank, and I also used silicone on this side, so I put that right on the frame. So that'll hold the frame if that crack, and keep that crack from growing down here, and if it does grow a little, it's not going to pull forward because I've got it pinched back on the back frame. So for about $4 I was able to pick up myself a 46-gallon bow front. More than $4. I don't know how much my sweat equity was worth, but getting that algae off was a pain. But I got it all off, and couldn't be happier. There's not a scratch on this tank. It holds water, and that was relatively an easy fix. The lighting, as you can see here, is my Home Depot special. I have a 60-watt CFL equivalent in there, and I should be able to grow some nice SPS corals without any problem with that lighting. I'm just kidding there. I have an LED build with a microcontroller that I should be able to get done in the 4 weeks it'll take this tank, 4 to 6 weeks it'll take this tank to cycle. I'm using Pucani rock and bulk Reef Saver rock. I got it from Bulk Reef Supply. The Pucani rock is nice, light, porous rock, and that's the rock all along the top edges here. And then the Reef Saver rock is a little heavier, and it's on the bottom. The Reef Saver rock came out of an ancient reef. It was relatively cheap. It was only $2.47 a pound, I think, which was speaking my language for sure. And the Pucani was like $3.49 a pound. The great thing about this rock is that it's got all these little nooks and crannies, and that whole structure went together like Lincoln logs. It all kind of interlocks. So I have no worries that this structure will ever fall or anything along those lines, because these rocks are really, they kind of really attach really well the way you can like just interlock them. The only ones that I'd be worried about falling are little rubble rocks and pieces that I use to kind of cover up gaps to kind of make it look like one big rock rather than a bunch of several different little rocks. Another great thing about this rock is all the structures and stuff I can make. Make like caves and tunnels and like little nooks and crannies, and lots of great places to put coral kind of made it step towards the back as it went up high, but it also has all these nice little caves and go-throughs for the fishes and stuff to establish territories and just have different places to go. So the rock, although it's dead, I could always seed it with a piece of live rock or a snail with some coralline algae just to get the coralline algae going, but I won't have any worries about nuisance pests, nuisance algae, anything along those lines. So the tank will be pretty clean, and if I'm careful, I won't be introducing anything that'll give me a nightmare in the future. I have a Vortec MP10 coming sometime next week, but in the meantime I'm using an Aquarium 1250. It's actually a nice little circulation pump, you know, but the Vortec is where it's at, and once I get that going, I hear great things about it, and I'm excited about getting that going in the tank. Nature's Ocean live sand. You can see here there's a bunch of dead worms that were in it. I doubt anything made it. Anything live made it besides the bacteria to help me get the cycle going. But there's always hope. Maybe something did make it. I'm going to leave those worms in there for now just to help the cycle, and fish them out later if they become a problem. I'm big into do-it-yourself. I built the stand. I actually built it for the 46 gallon bow front, but I built it as a double display stand. I was going to use that 20 gallon long down there and just do 2 tropical tanks before I got my mind set on this marine project. So the sump area is a little tight, and we'll go over that now while we go over the plumbing. Again, I searched on YouTube and built myself a surface skimmer. Pretty simple and easy design. This is just a 1-inch piece of PVC. Took a zip saw and zipped out 1/4 inch, 14 inches, 14 and a half inches long. Then there's 1 inch where it's solid, and then 14 and a half inches on the left side of the tank. That gives me 29 inches of surface skimming. As you can see, it's working pretty well. I didn't really like the fact though that I didn't get the flow I was aiming for. I'm only getting about 520 gallons per hour, which is just over 10 turns, turning over the tank 10 times. I was looking for something around 680 plus. That would have ensured that I'm turning this tank over about 15 times. But the surface skimming fact alone, I'm hoping will be worth it. Plus I didn't want big bulky plumbing for this job. Did all the plumbing myself as well. Durso standpipe, you know, you get a little hole in there so it'll muffle the sound. That works really well. Put unions and ball valves in all 3 of these, and I've used them just setting up the sump and tweaking the sump so I don't drain it every time, because the return pump I have is a Supreme Classic Model 9, which is about 950 gallons per hour. So I had to turn this ball valve back here, close it off so I don't drain the sump all the time. The sump area, like I said, it's like a dolphin's butt. It is tight. We've got my skimmers in there already, and then this is going to be the refugium area where I'm going to have a miracle mud and macroalgae, and then the return pump area. The positive is down here I'll be able to get 8 gallons of RO water for auto water top off, and I will be bringing you updates, many updates of this tank in the future. Day 2 cycling.